Hello and welcome. Today we take a hike to the Loch Uigeadail above the Ardbeg distillery. Both the distillery and the loch are located on the Isle of Islay. The Isle of Islay is the most famous Scottish whisky island and is known for their peaty whisky. On the top right of the screen I'll show you a link to the Ardbeg Uigeadail, a whisky that's name originated from the Loch Uigeadail. We took the trip from Loch Lomond to the Isle of Islay by helicopter, and that's why the film is a bit shaky. The weather is sunny, perfect for a hike, and this was taken during summer 2013. Now you can see the mountain line on the Isle of Islay, and our hike will take about 3 hours to the Loch Uigeadail. The temperature was 25 degrees and there were a lot of mosquitoes coming from the moors on the Isle of Islay, so it was a bit exhausting to take this hike up to the mountains. At the Loch Uigeadail we were greeted by tents and a nice dinner. We stayed the night there and it was really nice. You can already see one helicopter down here. If you're interested in the helicopter flight from Loch Lomond to the Ardbeg distillery, I will give you a link at the top right corner. If you're more interested in the distillery, then I'll give you a link to the distillery at the top right corner right now. We were about 22 journalists and they all had small rucksacks. We were all limited to this by the helicopter flight from Loch Lomond.
We'll take a jacket with you. Right. They are sort of loosely allocated. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, fine. Right, sorry. The boys use it. They only some for the marshals. They're 40 degrees down there beside.
Fortunately, we were all provided something against the sun and mosquitoes, as well as a few beverages on the way.
Yeah, but it's all real.
Fortunately, it started off very flat, and we could get used to the walking, hot weather, and the mosquitoes. We enjoyed the heather with all its beauty, flowers, and all the little insects crawling about. And yes, the urban legend that there are only sheep on Islay is wrong. Here we see some kettles. These stone walls are used as wind protection for the fields and are several hundred years old. The right path goes to Ardbeg, another whiskey of the Ardbeg distillery. Oh wait, it's not the whiskey, it's the loch, and the whiskey was named after the loch. The distilleries are all located next to the sea to get their supplies with steamboats from the main island. Today, all the distilleries are supplied by trucks. On the horizon, we see the peninsula Kentire, from which there is a ferry going to Isle of Islay every now and then. And these are the last looks at the warehouses of the Ardbeg distillery. And here we see our little group going up the hill, led by Micky Heads, the distillery manager. Now we reach the first plateau, and you can already feel a bit more wind going through the hills, which is really nice if you were sweating like hell going through the marshes down at the sea level. The weather is so nice that you can see Ireland in the far distance. As we continue our journey, our little group is spreading out, and finally we can see the tents in the little village that was created just for us.
With them, you know, treated so well by these villagers that as the sailors left, they left a mother.
Here we have the last stone walls, and now we reach the higher altitudes of the Isle of Islay. This is Micky Heads, the distillery manager of the Ardbeg distillery. The next stop is finally a whiskey tasting, and who guessed it? It's an Ardbeg Uigeadail. We continue our journey following a small stream that comes out the Loch Uigeadail and flows into the lower Ardbeg. The Loch Uigeadail itself has a capacity of 170,000 cubic meters. It's constantly filled by the storms and the rain that's brought by the Scottish weather. This is a big advantage for the Ardbeg distillery. The Loch Uigeadail is always filled, so there is no production break for the Ardbeg distillery, in contrast to some other distilleries on other locations on the Isle of Islay. The biggest water consumption in the whiskey production is not the mashing, but the process water that is used to condense the alcoholic fumes coming from the distillation. And now we finally arrive in our little tent camp, and we're all looking forward to a nice dinner with a dram of Ardbeg. Although it is very windy up here, the Loch Uigeadail is surprisingly warm. The tent that was provided by the Louis Vuitton Moët Hennessy company, the mother company of Ardbeg, was really nice, and we still had the hatches open, get a bit of air breeze into the tent. We later had to close them as the night was really cold. Here is a community tent that served our dinner. They also served whiskey as much as you wanted, but you could also get a beer or some wine. And here we see the last ferry going back from the Isle of Islay to the peninsula of Kintyre. The peat around the Loch Uigeadail colors the water very brown, but it also is very soft, so it's nice to drink or make whiskey from it. And here we see the dam that was built in 2009, and it was made from 44 tons of concrete. Now our first ceremony for this evening. We sacrifice a bit of the whiskey to the Loch Uigeadail. Micky Heads is leading it, the distillery manager of Ardbeg.
This is where it all begins. Many years ago, we laid this down. Water comes from here down to the distillery, where we process it, we mash it, we distill it, we mature it, and we get this wonderful product that we have in the glass. Lugal means dark place or dark mysterious place. If you look at the water, you can see why. If you can imagine the Atlantic rains coming in, you can't today, because it's like this all the time in there. But the Atlantic rains come in, the rain on the hills, goes through the peat soil, and it gathers here in the north. Lugal marries up the colour of the north with the whiskey. It's 54.2% ABV. It's mature and it takes about casks, also some Spanish colors and casks. inside the casks, the sherry casks. It's really deep, rich colour. See the readiness of the glass. See the economics of the casks, whether they're heavy, what we call the legs of the glass. The nose of it is really rich in the nose of Peat, but there's a bit of saltiness there. There's a little bit of spiciness that comes through from the sherry, but also as well some rich dark fruit, so it's really nice. It's my favourite part of all this stuff. Really nicely put together, really nicely balanced. I'm going to try a little sip. Yeah, essence, Jack. It's really rich and full in the mouth with that sweetness, that is coming from it. There's almost like a cigar smoke carrying on the leathery note to it as well. And a big oily mouthfeel and then a huge big finish. So this is what it's all about. Tasting whiskey. Everybody says it always tastes better when it was born. This is where it was born. This is where it comes from. So that's a little country that we've been thinking of for almost 200 years. We right half back in the Loch. So we're going to take another little sip. Hold it in your tongue, roll it round, experience it. We say it's been in the cask a long time. Give it a good few seconds and you can roll it around, get the full mouthfeel of it. And enjoy it. Turn round and slowly pour it back. Let's say thank you. Cheers. Cheers. Flanch.
How much you sacrifice to the Loch Uigeadail doesn't matter. So most of the men didn't sacrifice a lot, and the women a bit more. Our camp was set up directly on top of a peat bog. And here you can see the turf of the heather. The evening was illuminated by torches and LED lights next to the path. The dinner was a combination of cold seafood far away from the civilization. We had shrimp, crab and lobster, all combined with a very nice wine from Moët Hennessy. And suddenly the temperatures dropped significantly, and the warm Loch Uigeadail evaporates water and forms a mist that hangs over the moors. We lit up some fires, and all the fires were burning staves from the used casks of the distillery. We rose up pretty early and went down to the Arignambeist. And I'll show you a link to the whiskey tasting of the Arignambeist on the top right corner. And this is the view back to the camp where we just came from.
How long does it take to go from cutting here to actually...
And what else except water do you need for a good Ardbeg whiskey? Peat. So we cut a bit of peat. First you remove the grass turf on top of the peat, and then you uncover the 1 to 2 meter deep layer of peat.
Yeah, just chuck it. Oh, that's it. Just so we can see the tools that you're using. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Fantastic. Okay, and just get the. I'll take this other two off as well. Actually, she's got to stand on. Sorry, we're making you work a bit here, mate. Keeping fit. Okay, and the last bit. Don't worry, it's only stills. Far from me.
And now the cut out peat pieces are spread out to dry. Later they will be burned, and the malt above the smoke is becoming smokier to produce the famous Ardbeg whiskey. Even today some people cut the peat to fire their homes. The natives call them iliachs. We arrive back at the distillery, and today the weather is a bit mistier than yesterday. On the flight back to Loch Lomond, we enjoy the view, and you can see a small cloud of smoke next to the Loch Uigeadail. Thank you for watching, and if you think you find this interesting, maybe you want to share it with some of your friends who are also interested in whiskey.